What is a young beast doing atop my seat? Hey, you're just a lovely little pillow with your aggressive tail. Anyway, do you like the song? Should they like, comment, and subscribe? They should, shouldn't they? They definitely should. You heard the cat. Now, I've listened to the community. This video is going to be the first part of a series of how I make minimal drum and bass. This is something that hasn't really been requested in the comments. I've not really received any fan mail or anything like that, but I just know it spiritually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the breakdown and the drop. This is where we're going to get to by the end of the series, and then talk a bit about what's included in today's video. So,
suffering comes from the meaning you attach to the situation, and not from the situation itself. The pain you feel sometimes is not meant to leave you broken, but rather break you open to the unknown. Release yourself to the unknown.
That sounds pretty nice, if I do say so myself. This video is going to focus all on the drums. The next video is going to focus on the vocals and the basses, as in the sub basses, and then the videos after that is all around the mid bass and the composition of this song. So you don't want to miss any of this, guys. This is phenomenal stuff. Yeah, I'm giving this to you for free. Yeah, despite the fact I'm heavily monetized on YouTube. So without further ado, let's jump into the making of the drums. Cool. So we're going to start with the freshest of projects at 174 beats per minute. And I've downloaded a load of samples already. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off by making a beautiful drum beat. So I'm going to drag in all of these. I don't know what these ones at the end are. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start going one by one and putting in a bit of a drum beat. That's a good start. So immediately with this kick, I think that it's a bit long and a bit weighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it, is this a beat maybe? And I'm going to just go ahead and drag that all the way to the right so that it makes it a lot shorter. And maybe what we do is we bring it out and just like that. So then the difference that we have between these two is it's a lot less weighty and a lot more minimal, which is obviously what we're going for. Now we need to decide on a snare. Now I did download a couple of snares that had reverb tails, but I don't really want to use them. So we're gonna find something else. Yeah, so that's a very nice snare, but it's got a bit too much, again, of a tail. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing and make it really snappy like this. That sounds real good. Okay, so what we have so far is, yeah, that's starting to sound like a tune. Now I am gonna have a little look at some of these other snares that I've got. It's okay. Yeah, so maybe we layer it with this one. And what we want is just a little bit more of that tail. All right, so with this one, I only really want the high. So we've got all this low end. So I'm gonna cut out all the low. So it's just a little tiny part. I'm going to turn it down a touch, and then I'm going to duplicate this all across. Now I'm going to also group these two together. What we're going to do from here is then just start applying effects to the group instead. So an EQ8, we don't really want anything sort of below 150, 200 hertz. Even then, we probably push it up to maybe like 200. What we're also going to want to do is just give it a bit of glue compression because we have multiple samples. We want to knit them together, and then give it a bit of makeup gain. And we're also going to put on a limiter as well to stop it peaking and sounding gross. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to give it a bit of erosion, and I'm also going to give it a bit of saturator. So what could be nice? warm-up highs could be good, but we're going to turn this off for now, and we're just going to focus on the erosion. Now, erosion, what it's doing is it's basically giving it more noise and more frequencies wherever you dictate that there should be more noise and more frequencies. So you can make it a lot wider, you can make it really, really fine, just depending on the where you're trying to get it. So let's see how it's sounding. You can already hear it's a bit noisier. I'm going to put this and the compressor before so that these effects are applied first. So it's a little bit grittier. So without all of these effects, it sounds like this. And then with, it's sounding a lot better and a lot fuller. Now what I'm also going to do is just put on one more EQ8 because you'll see that we have all of this grossness at the bottom. So again, let's just make this 200. And what we could also do is we could just sample this so that we've got now our own snare. So we're going to hit record, solo it, and then just record one. So now we just have a nice snare that we can do with as we please. So we could even shorten it or whatever. Copy, 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 with the rest of it. I do think it still needs a little bit more in the top end. So what we could do is we could create a nice, noisy top end. The way that we're going to do that is we're just going to use an instance of Serum, shock, and we're going to have this noise here. We're going to have one note, but not that. So we're going to have one note of this noise playing. And then we're going to, actually, you know what we're actually going to do is we're going to make it twice as long. So we're going to legato this bad boy. So now we have this. And we're going to go ahead and process this. So it's just noise at the moment. So we don't really need to do anything with it. We're going to flatten it. We can also make it a bit more high pitch. And I'm going to put an EQ on just to cut out the low. So without the noise, it sounds like this. And then with the noise, you can hear it's just giving it a tiny, tiny bit more in the top, but it's just making it a bit crispier. Now, again, we just want to control some of the EQs and the frequencies and all of that kind of thing. So we're just, again, going to cut out everything below sort of 200-ish hertz. And we're just going to compress it a little bit as well, just to sort out some of those annoying little frequencies. Put on a limiter. And then we have a nice sounding snare. So what more could we want? Now, what else do we want in here? Well, you may have already guessed that what this really needs is some hats. So let's see what hats we've got. That's a nice hat. That's not so nice. That's a snare. Yeah, I like these two hats. What we can start by doing is creating 3 channels, and then we're going to have different hats for different hits, basically. So we're going to have a kick hat, a snare hat, and then a rhythm hat. So we need to decide which is which. So I personally think that the higher one wants to go with the kick, and the lower one wants to go with the snare. But we will find out. So we're just going to copy that across so that it matches the snare, and then we're going to copy that to there, and then we're going to do that. So now what we have sounds like this. So what it's doing is it's just accentuating some of the other elements of the drums and a little bit more unique. So what else do we have? That's an okay hat, but it's not great. Maybe this hat, but we're going to cut out all the tail. So it's literally going to be like that. And then we're going to have this one. We're going to make it quieter, so it's got a bit of bounce. And then like that, so you can hear it goes duh-duh. Copy all of this across. And now we're just going to have a very nice, simple hat group. So it sounds like this. So you can even kind of hear the drum and bass in there. So now we have a beat that sounds a bit like this. I do think that this snare, we might just want to push it a semitone or 2. Or maybe 4 or 5. Oh yeah, we just want it to be a bit more high pitch and a little bit snappier. So we're going to group all of this together, call this the drum group, and then the snare and hat, we're going to put that in a different group called the tops group. Now on the kick, we're going to cut out some of the low end, probably around about maybe like 60-ish hertz. Just give it a bit of compression. These hats are also very over the top. I'm just basically just trying to control it a little bit because it is a bit crazy. So this is way too much. Turn all of them down. So we can also cut out the low. And what I'm also going to do on here as well is I'm going to add a wider. Now, the wider is a free plugin, and it makes things sound wider. So it's pushing it a little bit to the edges. Now, what I'm also thinking could sound good in here are just some little fills or kind of like breaks. I think I might have even used this in a different video, but it's just really these bits that we want here. And we can just delete out all of the rest because we've already made our perfect snare. We've already made our perfect kick and hats, but we just want a bit of groove and a bit of shuffle. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete that because we don't want any interference. Then join that bad boy. And then these are probably all the same. Because this is going to be minimal, we just want it to be every now and again. It's a bit too long, I think. I'm just going to put this in the tops group as it is. But then there's a really, really cool effect that we can use. So first of all, to make this shorter, what we can do is go to beats and then this little arrow and then pull the transients back so that it makes it a lot tighter. So this is before and this is after. So you can hear it's just a lot shorter. I want to cut out all the low end. Now, to glue all of this together, we're going to use a very, very specific effect from Kilohertz, which is called Transient Shaper. And what Transient Shaper does is it shapes the transients. Yeah, I mean, look at the things that you're learning from this channel. It's really, really good on drums because it can tighten all of your tops together. It can give it a bit more oomph, and yeah, it just makes them sound better. So, for example, we can make it a lot longer like this, or tighten it all up. So I think that's sounding pretty good for now. Now we are going to come back and we're going to change all these drums up and whatever, but this is just going to be the foundation of what we're working with.